All right, what's up, guys? So, in this video, what we're going to be covering is LTV to CAC, which means lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. Now, this is one of, if not the most important equation when running a business or anything in the agency, reverse engineering your goals. Like, this is the most important thing that you have to understand in order to actually scale. Because at scale, what I have seen from people who are doing way bigger numbers than me is that they do know everything about their agency. They do know every single data point. They do know every single specific KPI. But the most important thing really comes down to your CAC. How much are you willing to spend to acquire a customer, and how much are they going to make you on the back end, right? So let's discuss this. And this really just comes down to, business in general, guys, just really comes down to simple math and reverse engineering your goals at both the macro and micro level. Now, in this video, what we're going to be discussing is how you can apply this to your own agency on sales calls and in your own agency itself, right? Now, and again, this is by far one of, if not the most important equation to understand. And for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Marco Musso. I run a Done For You marketing agency in May. It is actually May 30th. We just crossed 40K a month, but we have a couple sales call later this evening, so it can be 45, 50. Who knows? So let's get into it. Now, when you start out in business, Hermosi said to pick one vehicle, one niche, one acquisition channel, and make your first $1 million. At the end of that, at the end of making your first $1 million, the type of person that you're going to be is incomparable to who you once started, right? This entire journey, it's really about self-discovery. Entrepreneurship is just a different name for a journey of self-discovery, right? And so in this specific situation, let's discuss B2B ads. Now, if you run a done for you marketing agency, and I'll do my agency as an example and kind of what I'm doing, how much I'm spending, and hopefully this can give you guys a little bit more into the specifics of KPIs and understanding what it takes to actually scale. Now, I am currently doing $300 a day in ad spends. Now, this is just for the time being because I haven't been able to scale because I haven't been that profitable on the front ends. Now, what do I mean by this? Is that yes, the agency made roughly 40K a month, but that was from, reoccurring PIFs and signing a few new clients, like roughly 4-ish new clients this month. And my customer acquisition cost is roughly in the ballpark of $1,400 to $1,700. It's not good. That is not good, I will say, in the agency. Like, a lot of people have sub 1,000, CAC, and they're selling and offering a package of, 5,000, 6,000, $7,500 for a 90-day program. And then they do, 2.5K or 3K a month retainers after that. Right. So the way you measure your lifetime value, and we can kind of dissect each part of this equation. And so we can start with LTV, right? Lifetime value. How much are you going to make with one client over the course of their entire stay with you? Now, you have to average out how long clients are staying with you. If you have a pretty low churn of, less than 5-7%, and clients are more likely to stay with you, past 5 months, past 6 months, and just ask yourself the question right now: over the past 90 days, what has been my churn? How many clients have left me? Over the past 6 months, what has been my churn? How many clients have actually left me? And so you just want to figure out your churn percentage, which is total number of clients divided by, or take your total amount of clients and then those that left that month, and then whatever percentage that is, right? So if you have 10 clients and 2 of them leave in the month of May, you have a 20% churn. That isn't good. Because you have to think about also, like, the loss of churn, right? So of course we want to get rid of all the shitty clients, all the bad clients. But if you lose good clients, guys, those 2 clients will basically cost you tens of thousands of dollars into your own business. Now, everything comes from, figuring out how to reduce churn. That's a whole separate equation, a whole separate video in and of itself. I can talk about reducing churn for, 2 hours straight. But how much money, LTV, how much money are you going to make with an existing client over their average duration with you? Like, with my agency, clients will stick with us for roughly 7-8ish months. And my question now becomes, okay, how can I make it so that clients do not leave? How can I make it so that the clients that I have had for well over a year since I started my agency, why do they stick around? How can I make that into these new clients? And that's really the question that we want to be answering. But My average LTV, it's roughly $15,000. Now, as I continue to scale, as I continue to raise my prices, as I continue to have a better fulfillment, the LTV is only going to increase. Now, I was at a mastermind in the UAE, and somebody had an LTV of $150,000 per client, and they made over $1 million with just 2 clients. And that is like, that just gives you watching this and me like a different perspective on, wow, okay, I might need to move up market, right? But that's the LTV. Then the CAC is how much are you actually spending to acquire your clients? Now again, with my B2B ads, roughly 14 to 1700 CAC. It does vary week by week, but that's kind of what we're looking at an average. And so if I'm willing to spend $1,500 to acquire a customer that I know is going to pay me $15,000 over the course of their lifetime with me, now of course it can be more, right? Like I can, upsell them into a different program that we have. I can add SEO. I can add a website to them. I can keep them longer than my initial 7-8 month period. And so the question then becomes, are you willing to put your balls on the table, increase your spend to $500, $1,000, and know that you're going to sign these clients and know that you can keep your clients? Now, that's why it's super important in the beginning of your agency. Just sign as many people as you can and then build a good product based off of those experiences. Now, like I'm roughly 14, 15 months into my agency journey, and I'm at a point now where I really, really need to make the best products in the market, because who the hell wants to churn clients? Like, it's not fun, guys. If you're watching this and you have an agency and you sign clients and you churn clients, like having those exit calls, having those quiet churns, having those clients go, ghost 2.5, 3 months in, that's not fun. Like, we've all experienced that. But that then again becomes the question of how can we reduce churn? How can we make sure that that never ever happens again? And so if and then for sake of doing some math here, so my LTV is $15,000 to, let's just say, $1,500. Now that is a 10x, right? 1,500 divided by 1,500, that's 10. And so basically, I have a 10x ROAS. 10x ROAS throughout the duration of a relationship with a client. And so, yes, I'm willing to spend I'm willing to spend $1,500 to acquire clients. Now, the most important thing here is having a good sales process. Now, if you just launch ads at $500 a day, $1,000 a day, and you don't really know what you're doing, or honestly, for the sake of if you're sub 10K a month, like $50 a day, $100 a day, you still need to have a good sales process, or else you're just going to be simply wasting money. Now, a lot of the money is made in follow-ups. Like, that's true. And you have to be able to tolerate the risk of increasing your spend and tolerate the risk of potentially not closing clients while your money is being spent on that acquisition channel. And so you really have to get good at sales. If you are taking the sales calls, then get really good at sales. If you don't like sales, then delegate it. I know a lot of people who delegate sales immediately because it is something they don't enjoy. Now, sales from agency owners who are doing way bigger numbers than me is something that they delegate less. Why? It's the highest leverage thing possible. I can make $6,000 in a 30-minute phone call. Now, if you do not like sales, then just hire a closer, get them on 10% commission, 15% if they close and set their own deals, or whatever it is when it comes to the sales structure there itself. And so then the question becomes, once you have the numbers to this equation, are you okay with this? And then it's how can we increase LTV and decrease CAC at the same time? You want this equation to be polar opposites of the number spectrum itself. And so we want these numbers to be as far away from each other. The bigger the gap, the better. And so lifetime value, how can we increase lifetime value? This is, again, going into how can we reduce churn? How can we actually have the best product on the market? How can we actually keep clients for longer than 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, whatever your average duration of a client staying with you is for? How can we 10x the value of what we're doing at the same exact price so that clients say to themselves, wow, I should be paying this person way more. And then they actually pay you way more. Now, that is a really cool exercise. It's like, with my existing offer at 6K a month for 90 days, how can I 10x the value without changing anything? Like, what services do I actually have to provide to my clients to make them never, ever, ever, ever leave? Those are the questions that we should be asking and finding answers to. CAC. How can we decrease CAC? It would be amazing if my CAC is $500 if I'm signing a client, every day and a half or whatever the math is there. That would be incredible. I want to get to that point. I want to get to a sub $1,000 CAC. Now the question becomes, how can I get there? That is training a sales team, hiring A players, getting really good at sales yourself, being a better leader, getting better at sales calls, doing the follow-ups correctly, creating a hammer them strategy, creating a pre-nurture series so that it's less educational and more value-based on the sales call so that they come pre-informed, pre-educated, pre-nurtured. There's so many different things that you can dissect from each of these equations, but once you understand this equation, you then want to jam pack, and it's working for you, you then want to jam pack this acquisition channel as much as possible. Okay, so you want to jam pack this acquisition channel as much as possible because it's basically an infinite money glitch. Now, I remember Hormozi discussing this exact equation on his Spotify channel and talking about how the most amount of money that he ever made in his life was when he put $100,000 into paid ads and got 10 million out. I forgot where he was in his journey, but basically that's 100 to 1, right? 100 to 1 ROAS on the front ends. And it felt like it was illegal for him in that moment. And so if you're closing deals, every 4 days, every 5 days, which is basically what I'm doing at this point with a $1,500 CAC, more so like once every 5, 6-ish days. Again, like 4 clients over the past month itself. Wasn't the greatest, but definitely can improve there. But once you understand this equation, it's then just about like, why the hell wouldn't I spend more money into this? Like, why wouldn't you guys spend more money into this? I am going to get to the point where I'm spending, $1,000 a day on ads. That's where I'm going to get to. Now, on sales calls, a really cool, unique hack that you guys can do for those that are more type A or more analytic thinking is just breaking it down for them. So you could be like, yeah, so the guarantee is, 45 guaranteed qualified appointments over the course of a 90-day period. However, most of our clients see anywhere from 15 to 22 qualified appointments a month with an average qualified cost per appointment, sub $100. How many of those, or what's your closing percentage? Oh, 25%. Cool. So we're looking at a sub $500 CAC if you hold up your end of the bargain, right? So like, why wouldn't they go? Like, it makes no sense not to go with you when you break it down into specifics for prospects who are more analytical thinking on these sales calls, because it's like the numbers check out. There's a really low CAC. You're going to pay sub $1,000 for a $20,000 job. What are we doing? Are we going to get the ball rolling or no? Like, what are your thoughts? So that's how you can use it on the sales call aspect. But more importantly, the agency itself, using this to kind of define what you're willing to spend for your lifetime value of a client. And I hope this video kind of gives you guys value into, once you understand this and you have a system going for you, then you could just put more money into the machine. It's as simple as that. Now, I kind of know what I need to do to get to 150K a month. And if you're in the agency space, you're really in the sales and marketing and talent acquisition industry. And so I just need to hire way better players, spend a lot more money, and make sure nobody ever leaves my agency, because it's cool too, because like every 3 months, PIFs will just roll back around. It's going to compound onto itself. You're going to sign monthly retainers. And it's honestly so simple, it's hard. But I hope this video gives you guys clarity into kind of what I'm doing with my agency and how you can apply it into your own. And please, if you like this type of content, subscribe. I'm trying to grow this damn channel. It's been taking fucking forever, but we're gonna grow it. And let me know if you guys want me to cover anything in specifics in the comments. All right, thanks.